will say that this is probably the earliest that I've ever had pregnancy symptoms, like full-on pregnancy symptoms. Good morning and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then my name is Nicole and I have recently found out that I am pregnant with our third child, and today I wanted to do a video all about my pregnancy symptoms by DPO, and I am going to start with ovulation and work my way all the way up to when I missed my period. So first, let's start with ovulation. Usually I feel like I can tell what side I ovulate from, and I know when ovulation happened by the feeling of ovulation. But this cycle I did not have any cramping, any poking, any prodding, nothing around when I ovulated, so I am basing when I ovulated off of ovulation tests and my temps. At 5 DPO is when I think I implanted, and that is because about 1 p.m. I noticed a cramping feeling on my right side. It didn't last for a long time, maybe a few minutes, but I had this very strong cramping on my right side. So 6 DPO, I noticed nothing. At 7 DPO, I had nothing. At 8 DPO, I was congested, nauseous, exhausted. I started to feel like maybe I was getting the flu or something like that was going on. I kind of felt like I was having like flu-like symptoms. And then at night, I started to have like this really achy, cramping feeling. 9 DPO, I had pretty much the same symptoms at 8 DPO, but I was also freezing. So I wrote down all my notes, you guys, so you could probably see me looking down, but every day I wrote down how I felt so that I could share it with you. But 9 DPO, I wrote that I was freezing, I felt congested and nauseous, I had no appetite, I did not want to eat at all. And I kept thinking, maybe I'm gonna have the flu or something's going on because I just feel sick. And I had more afternoon cramping that just felt like I was really like aching in my uterus. 10 DPO, I was congested still, the nauseous was still there, and I felt very, very exhausted. And I no longer thought, maybe it's a flu because I was getting positive pregnancy tests at this point, but I was still having that afternoon like cramping, that achy cramping feeling, which made me very nervous. At 11 DPO, the congestion was still going on, the nauseous was still going on, I still had no appetite, was exhausted, and I still had that afternoon like achy, crampy feeling. 12 DPO, all the same symptoms. 13 DPO, all the same symptoms. But I will say at 14 DPO, my cramping started to change, and it no longer felt like an achy kind of like cramping, and it almost started to feel like a stretching kind of cramp. Like it felt like I felt like a stretching feeling, like almost like a pull, and not so much as like a tightening. It was almost like a pulling feeling. So that cramping started to change, and now that I am 5 weeks pregnant, I no longer feel any like consistent cramping. Sometimes I get kind of like a full feeling, but nothing that is making me concerned anymore. But I will say that this is probably the earliest that I've ever had pregnancy symptoms, like full-on pregnancy symptoms. The fact that I felt implantation is not that weird. A lot of people feel like a cramping or a pinching, poking kind of feeling around when they think that they could have implanted. But in the past, pregnancy symptoms for me have been like if I was going to brush my teeth, I would feel nauseous, but then the rest of the time I would be fine. This pregnancy, I have felt like full-on pregnancy symptoms very, very fast. My pregnancy symptoms at 8 DPO, I felt them, and I took a pregnancy test that day. I did not think I saw pregnancy tests the day that I looked at the test, but if you watched my line progression test, when I compared all of the photos, I think that I actually may have had very, very faint positives at 8 DPO that I just couldn't see in that moment because A, I felt horrible, and B, I was trying not to get my heart broken by the faintest little line. Many of you who watched my videos could see the lines that I was like, no, I don't think that it's positive. So my symptoms started at 8 DPO. I may have had faint lines at 8 DPO, but I am like full like pregnancy symptoms as it stands right now. I'm very, very nauseous, very congested. I am exhausted. I'm the kind of person who does not nap, but I have been napping throughout the day. And I also had this other really weird pregnancy symptom that started after my missed period, but I wonder if any of you experience this. But I get really, really exhausted throughout the day, but then I kind of have insomnia, and I have had this prior pregnancies towards the end of pregnancy where I have a hard time sleeping when I'm in my 3rd trimester, and I thought that's just because, you know, you're big and pregnant. But it's weird because I will be super, super tired, but then I wake up at like 5 a.m., like bright and awake, like ready to take on the day for no reason. Like I'm just like wide awake at 5 a.m. I would be interested in knowing when your pregnancy symptoms started and how did they progress from one pregnancy to the next? Was your first pregnancy not that bad and then your pregnancies in the future worse, or was it swapped? Was your first pregnancy really strong pregnancy symptoms and then pregnancies in the future not as bad? I wonder if my body just knows what to do, and maybe that's why I feel more pregnant, as one of my commenters had comments in the past that they felt like their body just knows what to do now, and maybe that's why they're so strong pregnancy symptoms. I hope that you find this video helpful if you are trying to track your pregnancy symptoms, or if you're wondering whether or not you felt implantation. And I hope that you subscribe to my channel and stick around as I share my pregnancy journey here on YouTube with all of you.